Since we're already on the game, you want to talk about Michigan, Colorado State?
Michigan first. Yeah, man. I was impressed. Definitely impressed with the defense, man. I said it on our predictions. I thought that the defensive line, the front seven, was going to be the most reliable part of this defense, while the secondary was going to be a strength. Was going to be our strength. You know, if the the defensive line is probably like the shield, the secondary is the sword. And the reason why I say that is because they had 7 sacks, but a lot of them wasn't. Maybe like 3 of those were, oh yeah, guys are just getting off of blocks immediately straight to the quarterback. Maybe like 3 to 4 of them. The rest covered sacks. And that's something that you would like to see, knowing that you don't have the first round talent right now on the defensive line. We'll see about Mozzie Smith, because man, that boy looks like a wrecker in the middle. Knowing that you don't coming into the season, you don't have that guy. It's good that the back end is able to assist the front seven, so that we're able to, kind of get to the quarterback a little bit more. Running game looked okay. We had some injuries on the offensive line. I don't know if that'll be a concern going forward. They don't seem to be too concerned, but I think for the amount of guys we had 2 guys out. Carson Barnhart got hurt in the game, and then Ryan Hayes didn't even play. So we had to kick some guys out and bring some young guys in to play. But I think it looked okay. Blake Corum did what he did. Donovan Edwards, they both look good.
Ronnie Bell had a couple of drops.
He had a drop, which was bad, though. It wasn't a good drop. Yeah. I think it was, I guess let's just get into the passing game. So the passing game was out of sync altogether. You had receivers dropping balls. You had guys falling down on routes. Obviously, Cade wasn't the sharpest.
They took out Cade for a drive for JJ.
In the third quarter.
Is that what it was?
Yeah,
okay.
in the third quarter, which Cade got more than enough time to play. He got 3 quarters. And we saw what we needed to see, I think. Like, it just kind of is what it is at this point. We in the season. You started out the game. You got a nice long run before JJ even touched the field. I don't know. Like, at the point that JJ took over in the third quarter, we only had 23 points on the board. We only had 23 on the board. So it's like, it wasn't overly impressive. Yeah, we were able to bully them off the ball and score touchdowns and get field goals, a few defensive touchdowns. It wouldn't even have been 23-0 if not for, the defensive turnovers in the first half. The thing has always been with McNamara is we can win with him. He's a heady enough guy that we can win games with him. But, like, that's not what I want to say about my quarterback. Like, that optimally. Yeah. If you have to, then cool, you get by. But if you don't have to sit up there and say we can win with him instead of, hey, he can win for us. And that's the kind of dynamic that you got with JJ, so that there is slippage in the running game. If the offensive line isn't having the best game, if we have, injuries on the defensive line or the offensive line, then he's able, that escapability is able to assist us in righting the ship. McNamara doesn't have that. And then on top of that, if your precision isn't on point, if your accuracy isn't on point, if you're not sharp out the gate versus Colorado State, like that interception that got overturned, that's going to be a negative in the film room.
Yeah.
Because even though Eric All fell down, you were still 2 yards behind and probably a yard or 2 high. That's how a slant ended up almost in the corner next to the pylon for an interception. You was off. You were late, and you were inaccurate. Even if Eric All was standing 10 feet tall, that ball would have been behind him. Some of the completions that he even made were behind him. 9 of 18 for 136, and I hate to do this because I don't really like when announcers do this. The whole, well, without that 80-yard play, he wouldn't have. That's stupid. That's dumb. Because he did have it, and that's part of his stats. But I'm just talking about the individual throws. That was one of the only decent or above average throws that we saw from McNamara all day. Flip the script, JJ gets in, and he's 4 for 4, 30 yards, runs for another 50 in half as many plays. You can't have that. If you're the senior, if you're the guy with all the intangibles, you're the guy who's the leader, the captain, blah, 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 yada, you can't have your backup come in and go 4 for 4 for 30 on a game where you went 50% for less yards than what was expected. Everything else looked good, though, like the secondary, running backs, wide receivers. For the most part, we're going to have to get some of those drops together. Mm-hmm. Secondary looked good. Even that 7 was like that was starter versus freshman, so it was like in garbage time. So I don't even really count the 7, but I think they looked all right. 11 tackles for loss, 7 sacks. You can't really get too much better than that.
From what I saw, and I didn't watch the entire game because you guys kind of took control of it fairly early. Atrocious tackling by Colorado State. Their quarterback was throwing a lot of dangerous passes you guys' way.
I mean, he took a lot of risks. I don't know if Norvell, their coach, came into it like, hey, look, we're not
expected to win this one.
You don't ever tell your team that. But like, I think from a play calling perspective, it was like, let's just call a clean game. Let's call a game that we can get some things on film that are positive and take back. And they did do some things that were positive, offensively and defensively.
Yep.
Let's get some things on film that we can build on, that we can take back and say, look, this is a top 10 team in the country. This is what we're able to do against them. Let's move forward. Let's take that into conference play in the Mountain West.
I can see that. Also, your punter, Brad Robbins, where was he on January 6th?
Fam, leave that man's mustache
Where
alone.
was he on January 6th?
Leave that man alone.
That man looked crazy.
Best punter in the nation.
I don't like it. Take that mustache somewhere. Grow a full beard.
It's not so much MAGA as it is Peaky Blinders. You know what I mean? It's screaming, you're in the wrong ends, bruv.
I want to know where he was January 6th. Just throwing that out there. No, other than that, like I said, I didn't watch the entire game, but I mean, you guys did what you were supposed to do. So
looked okay. We got some things we're going to end up. JJ starts on Saturday, so I expect that to be the end of this QB conversation. Now, if he goes out there and he shits the bed, Harbaugh will happily go back to Cade McNamara. I don't think he has any qualms about it. But this is JJ's opportunity to separate now. It's been, you were behind, now you're even. Cade left the door open, plain and simple. He can complain about it in the press conference all he wants about, it being unusual. Fam, you've known it's going to be like this for 3 weeks. Okay? Like, we're past this unusual. It is what it is. And this is not the first time that a quarterback started one game and then another starter happened the next time. There's nothing unusual about that. The only thing is that he just was very candid about it. Which, if he wasn't candid about it, you guys would be having even more shit. You'd be getting even more questions from reporters. So, come off of that, because you're a captain. And what I don't expect to hear is belly aching if you end up losing the job. Don't turn into goddamn Miles Brennan.